Tuesday morning, 10:22 a.m. I was standing at the front of my classroom. 22 kindergarteners, crayons, construction paper, the specific low-level, beautiful chaos of a room full of 6-year-olds doing art. The assignment was simple. Draw your family. I have given this assignment dozens of times. I have seen stick figures and pet dogs and baby siblings and grandparents and houses with smoke coming out of chimneys. I have never seen what Noah drew that Tuesday morning. 4 people, a woman, a man, a small boy, and a 4th figure, a woman, holding the man's hand. I crouched down next to Noah's desk. I said, "Noah, this is a beautiful picture. Can you tell me about everyone in it?" He pointed. "That's Mommy, that's me, that's Daddy." He pointed to the 4th figure. "And that's Daddy's friend at the other house. She makes me cookies when Mommy's at work." I stayed very still. "Daddy's friend at the other house," I said, carefully. "Yeah," Noah said. "We go there a lot. Mommy doesn't know." I looked at the drawing for a long time. "My name is Emma Larson. I am 30 years old. I am a kindergarten teacher. And what I did next was the most important thing I have ever done in a classroom." My name is Emma Larson. I am 30 years old. I have taught kindergarten at Riverside Elementary in Portland, Oregon for 6 years. I want to tell you something about what it means to teach 5- and 6-year-olds before I tell you the rest of this story, because I think it matters for understanding what happened and why. Children this age do not lie the way older people lie. They do not have the cognitive architecture for sustained deception, the ability to construct a false narrative and maintain it consistently over time. What they have instead is radical, unfiltered honesty about the world as they experience it. They tell you what they see, what they hear, what they understand in the particular way of a 6-year-old, which is direct and literal and entirely without guile. When a 6-year-old tells you something, they are telling you what is true for them. That is the first thing you learn and the most important thing you carry when you spend your professional life with children this age. Noah Calloway was one of 22 students in my Tuesday-Thursday kindergarten class. He was 6 years old, brown hair, always slightly messy in the particular way of a boy who runs everywhere and never quite remembers to fix it afterward. Smart, the kind of smart that shows up as curiosity rather than performance, the child who asks the follow-up question after you've given the answer. He was kind to the other children. He was funny without trying to be. He was, in the way of the children you remember long after they've moved on to 1st grade, genuinely memorable. I had met his parents at the fall conference in September. His mother, Claire, 31, a physical therapist, warm and organized, the kind of parent who reads the newsletter and remembers what she read. His father, Ryan, 34, something in tech, pleasant, present, the kind of parent who comes to conferences and asks good questions. They had seemed in the particular way you observe parents in a 20-minute conference, like a family that was doing fine. The drawing assignment happens every year. It is a standard early childhood activity, the kind that serves multiple developmental purposes simultaneously: fine motor skills, self-expression, family awareness. The specific milestone of being able to represent the people in your world in 2-dimensional form. I always display them. 22 drawings on the bulletin board by the door, the specific gallery of a kindergarten classroom, crayon stick figures and construction paper families, each one a small portrait of a child's world as they understand it. I gave the assignment on a Tuesday in November. 20 minutes of focused chaos, crayons selected and exchanged, paper covered with the specific confident scribbling of children who have not yet learned to doubt their own artistic instincts, requests for help spelling names, a small dispute about whether orange was an acceptable color for a dog. Noah worked steadily and seriously. He always worked seriously. It was one of the things I liked about him, the way he gave his full attention to things, even at 6, even at an age when attention is the scarcest resource in any room. When I came around to his desk, his drawing was finished. 4 figures, as I described. The woman on the left, larger, central, with yellow scribbled hair and a smiling face. Mommy, he would tell me. Beside her, a smaller figure. Me, he would tell me. Then, separated slightly from the first 2, a taller figure. Daddy. And beside the tall figure, holding his hand, another woman. Smaller than the mother figure, dark hair, indicated by brown crayon, a smiling face. I crouched beside his desk. Noah, this is a beautiful picture. Can you tell me about everyone in it? He told me. Mommy, me, Daddy, Daddy's friend. Daddy's friend at the other house, I said carefully. Do you go there often? Yeah, Noah said. He had already moved on to adding a sun in the corner, the universal kindergarten finishing touch. When Mommy's at work, we go there and she makes cookies and we watch movies. She has a cat named Biscuit. Does Mommy know Biscuit? I asked. Noah looked up at me with the specific expression of a 6-year-old who finds the question slightly puzzling. No, he said. We don't tell Mommy about the other house. Daddy says it's just our thing. I stayed very still. Just your thing? I said. Yeah, Noah said. He held up the drawing. Can this go on the board? Absolutely, I said. It's wonderful, Noah. He beamed. He went to put it in the display pile. I stood up slowly, and I thought about what I needed to do next. I want to tell you about the decision I made in the next 60 seconds, because it was not as simple as it might sound. I am a mandated reporter. In Oregon, as in most states, teachers are required by law to report certain things to certain authorities: child abuse, neglect, specific categories of harm. What Noah had described was not, legally, in any of those categories. A father taking his child to visit a woman his wife doesn't know about is not child abuse. It is not neglect. It is complicated and wrong, and the source of significant harm to at least one person in that family, but it is not something I am legally required to report. What I am, and this is not a legal obligation but a human one, is a person who has just been told by a 6-year-old that his mother does not know something that is happening in her own life. Mommy doesn't know. Noah had said it with complete neutrality. Not distress. He was not distressed by the situation. He was 6 years old, and he went to the other house, and there were cookies and a cat named Biscuit, and it was, in his understanding of it, simply a thing that happened. He did not know that the thing that happened was dismantling his family. He did not know that the secret his father had asked him to keep, just our thing, was the kind of secret kept long enough becomes something a child carries into adulthood without knowing why. I knew that. I have been in classrooms with 6-year-olds for 6 years. I know what children carry. I picked up my phone. I sent a message to the classroom assistant, asking her to watch the room for 5 minutes. I went to the hallway, and I called Claire Calloway. She answered on the 3rd ring. Miss Larson? Slightly puzzled. A parent call from a teacher mid-morning is not usually neutral news. Is everything okay? Is Noah? Noah is completely fine, I said immediately. He's safe and happy, and there is nothing wrong with him. Okay, she said, the relief in her voice and then the continued concern underneath it. Then what? Mrs. Calloway, I said, I need to tell you about something that happened this morning. I want to be straightforward with you because I think you deserve that. We did a family drawing activity today, and Noah drew something that I think you need to know about. Silence. What did he draw? She said. Her voice had changed slightly, the specific quality of a person who was listening very carefully. I told her. I told her exactly what Noah had drawn and exactly what he had said. The fourth figure, the other house, the cookies, the cat named Biscuit. We don't tell Mommy. I told her all of it. The silence that followed was the longest of the call. Miss Larson, Claire said finally. Her voice was very controlled, the specific control of someone who is holding something with both hands. Can I come in this afternoon, after school? Of course, I said. Whenever works for you. 3:30, she said. I'll be here, I said. Thank you, she said. She hung up. I stood in the hallway for a moment. Then I went back to my classroom. 22 kindergartners, crayons, construction paper, Noah at his desk starting a new drawing, a cat I could see from across the room with orange crayon, probably Biscuit. I went back to teaching. Claire arrived at 3:30 exactly. She had come straight from work. She was still in her clinical clothes, the kind of practical, professional clothing of someone who had gotten the call and come as quickly as she could without being able to go home first. She sat across from me at the small table in the corner of my classroom that I use for parent conferences. I showed her the drawing. She held it in her hands for a long time. She looked at the fourth figure, the woman holding her husband's hand, the brown crayon hair, the smiling face. He named her, I said quietly. He didn't say a name, but he said she has a cat named Biscuit. Claire looked at the drawing. He said you don't know about the other house, I said. She was very still. No, she said. I don't. She put the drawing down on the table. She looked at it for another moment, and then she looked up at me. Can I keep this? She said. It's Noah's, so yes, it's yours. She folded it carefully, once, the same way the receipt must have been folded, though I did not know that story then, and put it in her bag. She stood up. Thank you, Miss Larson, for calling me. Of course, I said. I mean it, she said. You didn't have to. Yes, I did, I said. She looked at me for a moment. Then she nodded, and she walked out of my classroom. This part of the story belongs mostly to Claire. I want to be clear about that. I am Emma, the teacher, and my direct knowledge of what happened after Claire left my classroom comes from what Claire told me later in the conversations we had over the weeks that followed, and from what I observed in Noah's classroom behavior in the days after. What I know is this. Claire drove home from Riverside Elementary on a Tuesday afternoon in November with a crayon drawing folded in her bag and 8 years of marriage being reorganized in her mind in real time. She did not call Ryan from the car. She did not text him. She parked in the driveway of their house, the house they had lived in for 4 years, in the northeast Portland neighborhood she loved, with the garden she had planted and the specific morning light through the kitchen windows that she had always said was the reason she wanted the house. She sat for a few minutes. Then she went inside. Ryan was not home yet. She had approximately an hour. She used it. She is a physical therapist. Her professional life is built around careful assessments of what is actually happening in a body beneath the surface of what people say about their symptoms. She is precise. She is methodical. She does not jump to conclusions because she has spent years learning that conclusions jumped to without full assessment are usually wrong. She assessed. Credit card statements. She had access to the joint account and looked at it carefully for the first time in months, maybe years. The specific blindness of a marriage that is working, you stop looking at the details. She looked at the details. Restaurant charges in a neighborhood she didn't recognize, a grocery store run on a Tuesday afternoon when Ryan had told her he was in a meeting, a pet supply store, cat food, cat toys, the specific purchases of someone who keeps a cat. She photographed every relevant statement. She found the address, not through the credit card, through a different route, one that I will not detail here because it belongs to her and to the specific resourcefulness of a woman with an hour and a very clear need. She found the address of the other house. She did not go there. Not yet. She went to her phone. She called her sister. Her sister's name is Dana. Dana is 34, 3 years older than Claire, a lawyer in Seattle who had been telling Claire for approximately their entire adult lives that she was too trusting and should always read the fine print. Dana answered on the first ring. "What's wrong?" Dana said. Sisters always know. Claire told her. The drawing, the fourth figure, the other house, the credit card statements, the address she had found. Dana listened to all of it. "Okay," Dana said when Claire finished. "Here's what you're going to do. You're going to call an attorney tonight. I know someone in Portland. I'm going to text you the name right now. And you're not going to say anything to Ryan until you have talked to that attorney." "I want to confront him," Claire said. "I know," Dana said, "and you will, but not tonight. Tonight, you know something he doesn't know you know. That is the only advantage you have, and I need you to not give it away before you understand what you're entitled to." Claire was quiet for a moment. "Dana," she said, "he took Noah there. He took our 6-year-old son to that house, and he told him not to tell me. He made Noah keep a secret." A pause. "I know," Dana said quietly. "That's the part She stopped. "The rest of it, I can process the rest of it eventually. But he put that on Noah. He asked a 6-year-old to carry something he should have been carrying himself." "I know," Dana said again. "How long do you think?" Claire asked. "Based on what you found? The credit cards go back 8 months, but I don't know when it actually started." "Call the attorney tonight, then we'll figure out the rest." Claire called the attorney that evening. Ryan came home at 6:15. I am telling this the way Claire told me weeks later, with the specific recall of someone who has replayed a moment many times, entirely himself. The same way he always came home. Keys on the hook, shoes by the door. He smelled like his office, like the specific combination of coffee and whatever soap he used. Familiar in the way that 4 years of marriage makes a person's presence familiar. He went to Noah's room first. Noah was already home, had been picked up by their neighbor on Tuesdays when Claire worked late. Claire heard them through the wall, Ryan reading to Noah, Noah asking questions, the specific rhythm of a father and a 6-year-old at the end of the day, the same rhythm it had always been. She sat at the kitchen table. She had the drawing in front of her. She had decided, after the call with Dana, after the call with the attorney, after 2 hours of sitting with what she knew, that she was not going to confront Ryan tonight. Dana was right. She needed the attorney meeting first. She needed to know what she was entitled to before she showed her hand. But she also could not sit at that kitchen table with the drawing in front of her and be entirely normal. So she put the drawing away. And when Ryan came downstairs after Noah's bedtime and sat across from her and asked about her day, she said it had been fine. "Anything interesting?" he said. She looked at him. "Noah's class did a drawing activity today. Family portraits. Rhys Larson sent me a photo of his." She watched his face. Something, a very small something, moved behind his eyes. "Yeah?" he said. Casual, steady. "Yeah," she said. "He's a good artist for his age." "He is," Ryan said. He picked up his phone. He looked at it. And Claire looked at him looking at his phone and thought, he doesn't know what Noah drew. He doesn't know what Noah said. He doesn't know that I know. And she decided in that moment to let him not know for a little longer. The attorney meeting was on Thursday. Her name was Sarah Kim, Dana's contact, a family law attorney in the Pearl District, the kind of office that is deliberately calm and comfortable because the people who come to it are never calm and comfortable themselves. Claire brought everything. The credit card statements, the address, the drawing. She had the original, still folded. Sarah looked at the drawing for a long time. "Your son drew this?" she said. Claire spent Friday doing what Sarah had told her to do, documenting, organizing, the specific preparation of a person who has decided that when the conversation happens, she is going to be the most prepared person in the room. She photographed the credit card statements, she made copies of the lease documents for the house they owned together, she located every financial account she had access to and made a record of the balances. And on Friday evening, when Ryan was at he had told her, work happy hour that would run until 8 or so, she drove to the address she had found. She did not go inside. She parked across the street. She looked at the house. A small craftsman bungalow on a quiet street in northeast Portland, well kept, a window box with late fall flowers, a light on inside, and on the front porch, a cat, orange, sitting in the specific composed way of cats on porches. She sat across the street and she looked at the cat. Biscuit. Noah had drawn Biscuit in art class that morning, she remembered now. An orange cat, carefully colored. She had thought he was just drawing a cat. She sat there for 11 minutes. Then she drove home, and she waited for Saturday morning. In his kindergarten class, Claire said, and he identified the fourth figure as his dad's friend at the other house, Claire said. He said they go there when I'm at work. He said his dad told him not to tell me. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Claire, she said, I want to ask you something, and I want you to think carefully before you answer. What outcome do you want? Claire had been thinking about this question since Tuesday afternoon. I want the truth, the full truth. How long, who she is, how often Noah was there. I want Ryan to say it out loud, to my face, without the option of minimizing it or constructing a version that's easier to hear. And then, I want out, Claire said. I want the house, I want primary custody of Noah, and I want Ryan to understand very specifically what he did by involving Noah in this, by putting a secret on a 6-year-old. Sarah nodded. That last part, she said, the custody piece, the fact that he repeatedly brought Noah to this woman's home and instructed him to keep it from you, that is relevant to a custody arrangement. It speaks to judgment, to what Ryan is willing to put a child through to protect himself. I know, Claire said. Good. Keep the drawing, keep everything, and here's what I want you to do before you confront him. She told her. Saturday morning. Ryan came downstairs at 8. Noah was still asleep. He slept late on weekends, which Claire had always loved, the specific gift of a child who did not require you to be functional at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. Ryan made coffee. He sat across from Claire at the kitchen table. He was relaxed. Saturday morning relaxed. The specific ease of a man who has no idea that the week his wife has just had is the week she has just had. Claire had the drawing on the table, face down. She had thought about this, the placement of it. She wanted to be the one to turn it over. She wanted to control the moment of his seeing it. Ryan, she said, I need to show you something. He looked at her. Okay, he said. The first shadow, just the first. She turned the drawing over. She slid it across the table. He looked at it. She watched his face. Ryan was, and I say this with the particular knowledge of someone who had watched him in a parent conference and believed what she saw, a composed person, the kind who does not show what he's feeling before he's decided what he wants to show. But something happened in his face when he looked at that drawing, something he could not entirely control. Not guilt exactly, or not only guilt, something more complicated. The specific expression of a person seeing something they had told themselves was contained, was manageable, was separate from the rest of their life, and understanding in a single moment that it was none of those things. His 6-year-old son had drawn it, in kindergarten, and given it to his teacher. Claire said, Noah drew this on Tuesday. His teacher called me. She told me what he said when she asked about the drawing. Ryan was looking at the fourth figure. Claire said, he said she makes cookies. He said she has a cat named Biscuit. He said you go there when I'm at work. Ryan did not say anything. Claire said, he told you not to tell me. He called it just our thing. The kitchen was completely quiet. Outside, a Saturday morning in Portland, rain on the windows, the specific gray and green of a November day, ordinary and beautiful. Claire said, how long? Ryan told her. Not immediately. There was a long silence first. The silence of a person trying to find a version of the truth that is less than the full truth, and then realizing, looking at the drawing, that there is no version available to him that is less than the full truth. He told her. 8 months. A woman named Alicia. Someone he'd met through work, a different company, a project they had collaborated on. He said it had started slowly. He said he had told himself many times it would end. He said all the things that people say. Claire listened to all of it. When he finished, she said, how many times did you take Noah there? A pause. Several, he said. I need a number, she said. Maybe 8 or 10 times, he said. 8 or 10 times. 8 or 10 Tuesdays, when Claire was at work and Ryan had taken their son to another woman's house and told him it was just their thing, and asked him to carry a secret that a 6-year-old should never have to carry. You told our son to keep a secret from me, Claire said. I know, he said. He's 6 years old, Ryan. I know, he said again. Whatever you did to me, Claire said, whatever I have to work through about what you did to us, that part, that specific part, that is the part I don't think I can forgive. He did not say anything. She stood up. She picked up the drawing. I've spoken with an attorney, she said. You'll hear from her. She went upstairs. Noah's door was still closed. He was still asleep in the specific deep sleep of a child who has no idea what is happening on the other side of his door. She stood in the hallway for a moment. Then she went to get dressed. The divorce process began the following week. I will tell you what Claire told me in the conversations we had after, not immediately, not that week, but in the weeks that followed as Noah continued in my class and we developed carefully and appropriately the kind of relationship that sometimes forms between a parent of a child going through something hard. She kept the house. Sarah had been right that the custody piece was significant. Ryan's decision to bring Noah to Alicia's home repeatedly and to instruct him to keep it a secret reflected on his judgment in a way that the court took seriously. Not punitively, Ryan remained in Noah's life, would always remain in Noah's life, because Noah needed his father, and Claire understood that. But the primary custody arrangement reflected what had happened. The drawing remained Claire's. She did not frame it. She kept it in the folder with the other documents, the credit card statements, the attorney correspondence, the final divorce decree, a record of what had happened and how she handled it. When I asked her once, months later, why she kept it, she thought about it for a moment. Because Noah drew it. He didn't know what he was drawing. He was just drawing his family the way he saw it. The whole truth, with no idea it was the whole truth. Does that make it harder to look at? I asked. No, she said. It makes it easier. He's 6. He didn't do anything wrong. He just told the truth, the way 6-year-olds do. He couldn't help it. And that truth, as hard as it was, gave me the chance to do something about it. So I keep it. Noah had a good year in my class. I want to say that because I think it matters. That in the midst of everything that was happening in his family, he continued to be the child he was. Curious, warm, serious about his work. He drew many more pictures over the course of the year, animals mostly, and rockets, and one very ambitious representation of what he described as a dragon, but a nice one. He did not draw the 4th figure again. Whether he understood in some child's way that something had changed, whether he knew in the particular intuitive knowledge of children who absorb the emotional weather of their homes, even when nobody tells them anything directly, I cannot say.
What I can say is that he seemed, after the first few weeks, like a child who was settled, present, not burdened. Children are resilient in ways that continually surprise me. That is the other thing you learn in 6 years of kindergarten. They carry things and they put them down, and they pick up crayons and draw dragons that are nice ones. That is, I think, exactly right. In April, spring, Portland doing what Portland does in April, the rain giving way briefly to something green and possible, Claire came to my classroom after school. She brought me a small plant in a terracotta pot, a succulent, the kind that survives without much attention. "From Noah," she said. "He picked it out himself." "Tell him thank you," I said. He said, she smiled slightly. He said, "Miss Larson helped Mommy and you should give her a plant." I looked at the plant. "He doesn't know what he said, does he?" I said. "He doesn't know what the drawing meant." "No," she said. "I'll tell him someday, when he's old enough. But for now, he just knows that his family looks different than it did and that everyone is okay." "Is everyone okay?" I said. She thought about it honestly. "Getting there," she said. "Yeah, getting there." The succulent is still on my classroom windowsill. It has survived an entire school year of 6-year-olds and irregular watering and the specific indignities of a classroom plant's existence. It is, against all odds, thriving. I look at it sometimes and I think about Noah, about the drawing, the 4 figures, the crayon, the smiling face of a woman holding a man's hand, about what a child sees and what a child tells, about the specific, radical, unfiltered honesty of a 6-year-old who was just drawing his family the way he saw it. No agenda, no plan, just the truth, on crayon, on construction paper. And what one phone call did with it.
I have been a kindergarten teacher for 6 years. In 6 years, I have had hundreds of children in my classroom. I have watched them learn to read, to count, to share, to wait their turn, to comfort a friend who was crying, to ask for help when they need it. I have watched them grow from the specific, terrifying newness of the first day of school to the specific, confident pride of the last. I have learned things from them that I could not have learned anywhere else. The most important thing I have learned is this: children tell the truth. Not always about everything. They fib about who ate the last of the crackers and who broke the crayon and who said the unkind thing at recess. They navigate social situations with varying degrees of honesty, like all of us, but about the big things, about the things they have seen and heard and experienced, about the shape of their world as they understand it. They tell the truth. And when they tell it, in drawings and offhand comments, and the casual narration of their own lives that children offer freely to the adults around them, it is the responsibility of those adults to hear it, to take it seriously, to do something with it. I did not hesitate on that Tuesday morning. I have thought about whether I should have, whether it was my place, whether there was a version of the situation where staying out of it was the right call. I have not been able to construct that version. A child told me something. I told the person who needed to know. That is what I do. That is what I'm for. Noah is in first grade now. He is at a different school. Claire moved to a neighborhood in southeast Portland after the divorce was finalized. A fresh start, she told me. A new neighborhood, a new school, the specific blank slate of a place that doesn't have the old geography in it. She texts me sometimes, not often. We are not close friends, and the appropriate boundaries between teachers and parents don't disappear just because something significant happened between us. But occasionally, an update, a photo of Noah at his new school grinning with the specific confidence of a child who has found his footing. He lost his first tooth in November. He has a best friend named Marcus who, according to Claire, is exactly as serious and curious as Noah is. And together they are, in Claire's words, a lot.
He does not have a cat. He has asked for one. Claire is considering it.
I think about the drawing sometimes, not with heaviness. It has been almost a year, and the acute quality of that Tuesday morning has settled into something more like a clear memory. Important, but not raw. I think about it the way you think about moments that mattered, that you handled correctly, that you would handle the same way again. I think about what Noah knew and didn't know. He knew about the other house. He knew about Biscuit. He knew that they didn't tell Mommy. He did not know what any of it meant. He was 6 years old, and he drew his family the way he saw it. 4 people, including the truth. The crayon is the oldest technology in my classroom. It has been around in some form longer than almost anything else children use. It does not require batteries or software or a Wi-Fi connection. It responds directly to the pressure of a small hand moving across paper. It draws what the hand knows. Noah's hand knew the truth, and he drew it. Claire told me one more thing in the last conversation we had before Noah moved to his new school. She said, "I've thought a lot about what would have happened if you hadn't called me. If you had looked at the drawing and thought, it's not my business, it's not my place." "I couldn't have done that," I said. "I know," she said, "but I want you to know the fact that you didn't, the fact that you picked up the phone, that was," she stopped, "that was everything. I would have gone home that Tuesday and I would have had dinner with my husband and I would not have known. And I would have kept not knowing, however long it took, however it eventually came out. There would have been more time, more Tuesdays, more cookies, more Biscuit. More Noah carrying that secret," I said. "Yes," she said, "that most of all." I thought about Noah, about the weight of just our thing, about what a child carries when an adult puts something on them that they should not have to hold. "I think he's going to be okay," I said. "He is," Claire said. He's really okay, actually. Better than I expected. Better than I am some days." "Children are," I said. "Yeah," she said, "they really are." That's the whole story, or the part I'm able to tell. I want to say something to anyone listening who works with children, who teaches them or cares for them, or spends time with them in any professional capacity. Children tell you things. Sometimes they tell you things they don't know they're telling you. In a drawing, in a comment, in the casual narration of their own lives that they offer freely because they are 6 years old and they do not understand which truths are dangerous. Your job, whether or not it is legally your job, whether or not it falls within specific categories of mandated reporting, your human job is to hear those things, to take them seriously, to do something with them. You might be the only adult in a position to hear what a child is telling you. You might be the only one who picks up the phone. Pick up the phone. And to anyone listening who is not a teacher, who is simply a person in the world, wondering whether to say something, whether to do something, whether it's their place, it is your place. If a child tells you something that matters, it is always your place. Pick up the phone. Noah is in 1st grade. He lost his first tooth. He has a best friend named Marcus. He draws dragons now, nice ones. Thanks for listening.